Good morning, it's day 28. So things are progressing in the kingdom, and Solomon is now firmly established. He's had an encounter with God who has blessed him. But the Bible says, and Solomon loved many foreign women. And not just that, he went extra mile to set up their own altars. I don't get it. When we look through the book of Leviticus, we saw that the king of Israel was required to write with his hand the laws of God, required to put it down so that in the course of writing, he's meditating, he's sticking to his heart. He would know what God expects in every situation. How does Solomon, with all of his wisdom, all of the wealth, all of the favor that he enjoyed before the Lord, do you know what God called him? Jedediah, my beloved. God so loved Solomon. And having been exposed to this dimension of God, God's wisdom, wealth from God, and favor from God, what exactly made Solomon go ahead to not just love and marry strange women, but also set up altars? Sometimes in life, we think that we are being diplomatic, we're being welcoming, we're being accommodating. And in a world like today's world, where diversity and inclusion is becoming a big deal, there's a thin line between being inclusive and setting yourself face to face against your God. And I also noticed that the fact that you're wise does not save you from this. The fact that you're wealthy or influential does not save you from this. The thin line can be crossed. And the way that we can only avoid the thin line is to make sure that every waking moment we remind ourselves that our God has his own laws and his laws come first. God was so pleased with what Solomon did. The Bible says the strange women he loved began to turn their hearts away from him. Solomon was king, and these women fell flat for him. Look at what happened when Sheba came. In fact, Ethiopia, biblical scholars believe that Ethiopia happens to be the son of Solomon because Queen Sheba had him when she visited Solomon. I mean, Solomon had a charm. All the women loved him. This person had wives and concubines, over 1,000 joined together. It was a big deal for them to be with him. That was an opportunity for him to convert them to his God, if you ask me, if it were that simple, because sometimes it's never easy to take the sport out of the leopard. These women may not have wanted to give up their gods. But if you loved Solomon that much and you wanted to be in this grand palace, wouldn't you want to give up your God? Especially if Solomon probably pitched to them that it was his God that gave him all of this wealth. I mean, they don't have that kind of grandeur in their own palaces because they were mostly royal women. So if their gods, their dead gods, excuse me not, couldn't give them all that wealth, and Solomon's God gave him all this wealth, wisdom, and influence, I mean, if you were the one, wouldn't you go with Solomon's gods? I'm sure those women might have considered Solomon's gods. But Solomon, out of his luxurious benevolence, decided to set up their altars for them in Israel, totally desecrating not just the kingdom, but his palace and himself. And of course, dishonoring the covenant that God had with his father and with Israel and with him. In one way or the other, I want you to look at your life. How might you be allowing the concept of diplomacy and inclusivity bring you to a state where you are setting yourself against God? Always remember, we are in the world, but not of the world. You belong to a different community. You belong to a different kingdom, a kingdom with laws, rules, and regulations. A kingdom that is actually programmed to reset your mind, to think like God. Do not allow the need to be politically correct put you against God. Don't ever get yourself pitched against the Lord. See what happened. The kingdom was stripped of Solomon. And it was all just because God had respect for David. That didn't happen in Solomon's time. It happened in the time of his son. I just want to encourage you to always double check before you do anything. Don't allow your passion lead you too much that you draw a line of battle between you and the covenant that has been designed to protect you. And don't allow the need to be politically correct, like Solomon did with his royal wives, to set you up as God's enemy. Whatever we do, may the Lord keep us. I hope you enjoyed today's reading. I'll see you tomorrow.